Readings of Almighty God's words on the pursuit of the truth. How to pursue the truth. 12. 4. The fourth characteristic, foolishness. What we just fellowshipped on was the third manifestation of people reincarnated from animals, that they are muddle-headed. There is another manifestation, which is that they are foolish. Foolishness is also related to intelligence. So just how foolish are these people? What manifestations demonstrate foolishness? Some people, when preaching the gospel, say, "Be considerate of God's intentions. God has nowhere to even lay his head. God's intentions are painstaking. God's work is not easy. It is arduous." When non-believers hear this, they say, "What's this gibberish you're talking about?" These words are incomprehensible to non-believers. They don't believe in God, so they don't know what these words refer to or what their background is. So is it not foolish for you to say these things? In what way is it foolish? They are addressed to the wrong audience, aren't they? Some muddle-headed people, after being arrested, are questioned by the wicked police. "You believe in God? What does God tell you to do? Don't you know that believing in God is illegal? You have violated the law. The state does not permit such belief." In actuality, these wicked police officers are just looking for some dirt they can use to convict believers in God. But this kind of foolish person fails to see through this. They say, "Our belief in God is not illegal. God tells us to be honest people, to walk the right path, and to be good people." When the devils hear this, they say, "Since God tells you to be honest people, then tell us, who are the leaders of your church? Where is your church's money kept? Speak honestly. If you do not speak honestly, your God will condemn you." Hearing this kind of foolish person is dumbfounded. Isn't this being foolish? How can one speak honestly to devils? How can one tell God's truth to devils? No matter what, one must never tell them. There are also foolish people who ask the police, "Why do you always arrest us? Why do you always make things hard for us believers in God? Why do you always fabricate rumors about us?" Do they really not know why? Do they expect to get an answer from them? Will they get an answer? Asking them why? Isn't this absurd? Isn't this being foolish? But these foolish people can indeed ask such foolish things. They simply do not understand and keep asking, "Why does the CCP always persecute us? Why do they always arrest us believers in God and even fabricate rumors about us? We are clearly being persecuted and cannot return home, yet they say we have abandoned our families." These devils do not base their words on facts. Isn't this complete fabrication? We simply create some artistic performance videos to testify to God and propagate God's words. Why do devils and Satans hate this so much? They always go to my house to threaten and intimidate my family and relatives, even installing surveillance cameras. Why? Is there even a need to ask this? Isn't that a foolish thing to say? If you just started believing in God, then it would be normal to not understand what was going on. But you have believed in God for so many years. How do you still not know? And if you do know, then why do you ask? Some people still cannot figure it out. We have never opposed the party or the state. We have never engaged in political activities. We have never tried to overthrow the government or its rule. We have never posed any threat to its rule. So why does the CCP always arrest and persecute us? We are always hiding, unable to go home or call our families despite wanting to. I just don't get it. Why does the CCP always make things difficult for us? If you truly cannot see through this, then you are far too ignorant. You are truly foolish. Let's say there's a woman who marries a non-believing husband. When they were dating, he said, "I'll believe with you too. We'll enter the kingdom of heaven together." He spoke so nicely, but in actuality, he is a disbeliever, a devil. He was just stringing her along. But when she forsakes everything to expend herself for God, he flies into a rage. He doesn't let her attend gatherings, doesn't let her do her duty, and doesn't let her read God's words. This foolish woman still wonders, he wasn't like this before. He loved me so much, cared for me so much, understood me so well, and fully supported my belief in God. Why does he seem like a completely different person now? He used to believe too. Why has he become like this? During the several years she's away from home doing her duty, she constantly ponders this matter. My husband couldn't possibly look for another woman. He loves me the most. I am his only one. I am his first love. He would never love another woman. Besides, my husband is a guileless man, and he doesn't have any great abilities or skills. Who would want to be with him? Actually, even as she thinks this, she feels uneasy in her heart. She is hoping that her husband is still waiting for her. But in actuality, even back when she was still at home, because she was busy believing in God and doing her duty every day, he had already found another woman. Yet she thinks that's impossible. Anyone else might look for another woman, but not him. He's not that kind of person. When I was still at home, he even said he wanted to believe in God. Tell me, isn't she being extremely foolish? All these years she has not been at home. Not only has her husband found someone else, but even her children and parents have disowned her. She ceased being considered a member of that family long ago. Who knows how they insult her behind her back, or how deeply they hate her. Yet she cannot see through this. Tell me, isn't this foolish? To what degree is she foolish? To the degree that she completely lacks normal human intelligence. Thus, she cannot use normal human thinking to view people and things. She always uses her childish, distorted, idiotic thoughts and viewpoints to view and measure things. In the end, she often gets herself stuck in difficult situations, becoming very passive, and acts in a very ignorant way. Isn't this foolish? There are some foolish people like this. Being foolish means they do not have the intelligence of normal humanity. So when viewing people and things or handling matters, They do not have the basic principles as a support to enable them to achieve good results, right? In summary, if people reincarnated from animals are measured using the truth as a standard, their primary characteristic is that they basically fall short of it. It is a high standard. If they are measured by the intelligence of normal humanity, they are even unable to view the people, events, things, or situations that arise in their daily lives with the thinking of normal humanity. Strictly speaking, in daily life, such people cannot even independently manage their own food, clothing, shelter, or transportation, nor can they independently respond to and handle these issues. Even if they just about manage to survive without starving to death, from their manifestations in handling various matters, such people appear very idiotic and clumsy, far from possessing true normal humanity. Take some animals, for example. They do not even know on their own how much food is appropriate to eat. Only if people feed them at fixed times and in measured amounts can they eat in a healthy way. Take dogs, for example. If left to eat freely, with no restrictions on how much, they will eat too much. They will keep eating until they are completely stuffed and physically unable to eat anymore. So, a very obvious characteristic of people reincarnated from animals is that they cannot manage many aspects of their own lives independently. Why can't they do so independently? It is because they never know what the principles are for doing such things, what the basic conditions are, or what boundaries they should not overstep. It is just like some animals when they eat. They do not know how much food is appropriate. If people do not manage them, they will eat until they overstuff themselves and die. If there is someone managing and feeding them, they might maintain good health. This characteristic is also quite obvious in people reincarnated from animals. Just like some people say, they eat without knowing if they are hungry or full, and sleep without knowing if it is day or night. So, do such people possess the intelligence of humanity? It is very clear that they do not. Such considerations as how they should eat to regulate their health throughout the 4 seasons of the year, as their body experiences different conditions, which foods are healthy and which foods are unhealthy in which season, which ways of living are healthy and unhealthy. A normal person at the age of 20 may not know these things, but at 30, they know some of them, and at 40, they know even more. At 50, based on their own actual physical condition, they will have summed up a set of rules to live by that suits them, and this will basically be established and fixed, with no further major changes. But people reincarnated from animals, even if they live to be 80 years old, still cannot sum up a set of rules to live by. They either eat too much or too little, and either get an upset stomach or indigestion. They have no idea which health issues are caused by which lifestyle habits or which foods. They just eat wantonly. If you ask them to sum up a dietary regimen or dietary approach that suits them based on which foods are suitable or unsuitable for their constitution, and on various pieces of information, they cannot do it. For example, someone online says that eggshells are high in calcium and that eating eggshells can supplement their calcium intake, so they think it over I'm not very tall because I lack calcium. I'll eat eggshells to supplement my calcium intake. But as it turns out, after eating them for a while, there seems to be no improvement in their calcium levels. Tell me, isn't this distorted? When you come across information online saying that eggshells are high in calcium and can be used as a calcium supplement, how should you comprehend it? It is very clear that people who eat eggshells are prone to distortion. Their comprehension is incorrect, so their practice is distorted, extreme, and idiotic. Then, what is the correct way to comprehend this? While eggshells may be high in calcium, they are not something we can eat. Whether they can actually have the effect of a calcium supplement is still unknown, and even if they can supplement your calcium levels, whether you can absorb it is also uncertain. Furthermore, is there any evidence that eggshells can be a calcium supplement? Has this claim been verified? In actuality, there are many things that can supplement calcium intake, and they have all been medically proven. If you refuse to accept these proven methods, then you are an absurd person. Can't you just take calcium tablets to supplement your calcium intake? That's the simplest method. They do not harm the stomach or damage the teeth. They taste good, and you can feel the effects. Isn't this the correct comprehension? But those with a distorted comprehension do not comprehend it this way. They take things to the extreme. They believe, if someone says eggshells can supplement your calcium intake, then it must be okay to eat eggshells. If you need to supplement your calcium intake, you have to eat them. They do not even consider whether the body can absorb them after eating. This reflects distorted comprehension. This is being extreme. If someone said, banana peel is high in vitamins, and eating it can enhance your beauty, would you eat it?
No.
Why not?
Because some foods created by God should be eaten after having been peeled, according to natural order. Insisting on eating the peel is taking things to the extreme. If someone wants to supplement their vitamin intake to enhance their beauty, they should eat foods that are both normally edible and have beautifying effects.
This is the correct comprehension. But look at that extremist fool. They do not comprehend it this way. They insist on forcing themselves to eat the peel and even say, I must rebel against my flesh. I must eat banana peel to supplement my levels of a specific nutrient. But they don't think. Banana peel doesn't taste good. It is not food. I won't eat it. Why don't I just eat something else that contains this nutrient instead? Isn't this the correct comprehension? If you can be discriminating in this way, if you can comprehend things this way, it proves that you possess human intelligence. But if you cannot be discriminating in this way, and as soon as you hear that banana peel contains a certain nutrient, you insist on eating it even if it tastes bad, then you are a fool. You are someone reincarnated from an animal, and you do not possess the thinking of normal humanity. Any heresy or fallacy can mislead such people, and they are simply unable to discern the correctness or veracity of various pieces of information. They always get duped. All of this constitutes a manifestation of how people reincarnated from animals treat various specific matters. They are extremely foolish. Their comprehension is distorted and absurd, and they take everything to the extreme. When people say that research suggests something is edible, that doesn't mean you must eat it, nor does it mean that nothing else can replace it. If you say that the truth cannot be replaced by any theory, that is objective and accurate. But these nutrients are material substances. It is impossible for there not to be any substitutes. God created a rich variety of foods, and there are many foods that contain different nutrients. People can make precise choices based on their individual constitution, age group, and current health status. There is no need to stick to regulations. After hearing a piece of information, people who go to extremes cannot treat it correctly, nor can they discern it. They are always misled by these things, and in the end, they say, "Everything online is a lie. Not a single word is true." You see, they now go to the other extreme. You can search for information online, but you must know how to use human intelligence and the correct way of human thinking to discern it, to make a correct choice about what to use and what to discard. If something is beneficial to you, you can use it. If it is not beneficial or not suitable for you, you can treat it as a reference or as a kind of common knowledge. People with human thinking practice in this way. Those who do not possess human thinking practice in a way that deviates either to the left or to the right. They are either deceived or completely disbelieve everything. They are incapable of discerning such matters with care. Such people appear especially obstinate, ridiculous, muddled, and idiotic in how they treat various kinds of information or handle real-life matters. People who are this idiotic, who cannot discern correct from incorrect or right from wrong, how do they get by each day of their lives? Just looking at how they behave makes you worry. Can you still have any hope that they will be able to enter into the truth reality? A woman married a sleazy rogue and thinks, "My husband loves me so much. I have found true love. I have fallen in love." And she feels very blissful. But others look at her husband and see that he is not even human, that he is a devil, and wonder how she can still be so intoxicated and enjoying herself so much. Even they are anxious about her and worry on her behalf. In the end, after having children with him, she gets kicked aside and has no support. Her life becomes unbearably difficult. From the foolish things done by people reincarnated from animals, it is clear that the fact that they can manage to live and survive is largely due to God's grace. God gives them breath so that they can remain alive, and gives them food so that they can survive. The birds in the sky, the little animals, and even the ants on the ground all have food to eat. How much more so is this true for humans? Since you were reincarnated as a human, God gives you the means to survive. Either someone provides for you, or you have a certain strength that allows you to sustain your livelihood. This is God's grace. God does not let you starve to death, but gives you a way to survive, so you are able to live to old age, to live until the end. Without God's grace, then with the caliber those reincarnated from animals are born with, their absence of normal thinking, and their absence of even the slightest ability to handle problems, they could not even manage to earn a livelihood for themselves. From another perspective, people reincarnated from animals are actually quite blessed. Considering their abilities in all respects and their intelligence, it would be virtually impossible for them to earn a living in this complex and evil world. But because God shows grace to and has mercy for all created beings, then no matter whether you are reincarnated from an animal or a human, in God's eyes, if you are a created being and He has given you breath, then He provides normally what you need to live and survive, allowing your life to be sustained and enabling you to continue living. So if you say, "I have gone out and struggled to make money, providing for myself so that I'm well-nourished and healthy, aren't I doing just fine? Aren't you insulting me by calling me foolish?" Then you are wrong. The fact that you can make money and provide for yourself is not necessarily truly because of your own ability. 99% of it is God's grace. God gives you some vigor and thus enables you to toil to earn money for food. He gives you a certain strength, along with a healthy body, and thus enables you to do a job, earn money, support a family, and survive. What is the basis of you being able to do these things? It is all based on God giving you the most fundamental innate condition that enables you to engage in normal human labor, ultimately allowing you to provide for yourself and sustain your livelihood. In short, no matter what, whether you are foolish or muddle-headed, right now, as a created being with the external appearance of a human, you should know your identity and your worth. Moreover, you should correctly comprehend what God has bestowed on you, what God has provided for you, and God's grace and mercy. If you match the several characteristics of people reincarnated from animals and feel that you certainly belong to this category of people, what should you do? This is easy to handle. No matter what your origin is, no matter whether you naturally possess human intelligence and human thinking, the fact is that you now have a human identity. Since you have a human identity, you should fulfill a human's duty. Do as much as you can, to the best of your ability, and, to the maximum extent possible, accomplish and do well what a human ought to do. Some people say, "You said people reincarnated from animals are characterized by distorted comprehension, numbness, being muddle-headed, and foolishness. That means they don't have human intelligence." The vast majority of these people do not understand the truth at all. How can they do their duty well and appropriately? If you are not held to strict standards, you can achieve doing it well and appropriately, because, after all, you now have a human identity. As long as you're obedient and do not spout twisted arguments, you can achieve this. If you cannot even manage these 2 points, then I say you are truly in danger, and you will have to be cleansed away from the church. If you say, "I can manage these 2 points, I will not spout twisted arguments, and I accept correct statements. Whatever I'm told to do, I will do, and however I'm told to do it, that's how I will do it." If you can truly practice this way, then you will be able to achieve doing your duty well and appropriately. Some people say, I have done my duty well and appropriately, and I also want to do it according to the truth principles. If you truly have the intent to strive toward the truth principles on the foundation of being able to do your duty well and appropriately, then whatever level you can reach is fine. There are no requirements. As long as you are not pig-headed, do not spout twisted arguments, do not keep emphasizing your own reasons, do not act in a muddle-headed way, and do not refuse to admit when you have done something foolish, that is enough. As for acting according to the truth principles, you can do as much as you are able. Whatever you think you can do, just do that. The requirements for this type of person are not high because it is somewhat difficult for them to attain to the truth principles. So, based on their innate conditions, they are not strictly required to act according to the truth principles. Why are they not required? Because they are incapable of it. If you insist on requiring that they act according to the truth principles, that would be like forcing a fish to live on land. Take some animals, for example. If you require them to eat the right amount for each meal and not overeat and stretch their stomach, can they do it? They cannot. They eat as much as they can in one go until they physically cannot eat anymore. People reincarnated from animals are the same. If you require them to act according to the truth principles, they cannot do it. So, does that mean such people are abandoned? No, they are not abandoned. But not abandoning them does not mean requiring them to understand and grasp the truth principles. It simply means treating them correctly, letting them do what they are capable of doing. It is not revoking their qualifications to do their duty, nor is it revoking their qualifications to pursue the truth, and even less is it revoking their qualifications to attain salvation. It only means that they are not strictly required to practice according to the truth principles, nor are they strictly required to attain to the truth principles in all things. That is, they should do as much as they are capable of. As long as they do not deliberately try to cause disturbances, do not spout twisted arguments or recklessly commit misdeeds when it comes to critical matters of principle, that is enough. The requirements for such people are not high. Do you understand? As for people who are reincarnated from animals, we've fellowshipped on some of their manifestations of their essence. Of course, there are some manifestations that we haven't talked about in much detail. If we were to speak more specifically about them, some people might not be able to stand it, so we've spoken more generally, leaving some things unsaid. No matter what you were reincarnated from, in the end, you now have a human identity. Since you have a human identity, you care about your image and your dignity, so we'll spare you a bit of dignity. We won't speak in too much detail on this aspect. What we've discussed already is basically how things are. Match yourself against it. Let's say your manifestations match up with those of people reincarnated from animals, and you feel quite troubled in your heart, feeling that since you have this kind of identity, in one respect, your worth has declined, and in another, your integrity has been insulted and your dignity has been challenged. You don't know how to handle your relationship with God, and you suddenly feel that your status has plummeted, that you're lower than others, no longer feeling that there's anything honorable about yourself, no longer feeling that your character is noble or that you are of honorable worth. And suddenly you feel in your heart that you don't have any hope or support, and that your future destination is up in the air. Would these be good manifestations?
No.
Then shouldn't you turn around? Since these manifestations and this kind of comprehension aren't good, what should be done? We need to find a way out for people like this, to make them feel a bit better. This isn't about placating them, nor about duping them. It's about enabling them to treat this matter correctly and strive to practice according to the truth principles. So what should they do? How should people reincarnated from animals comprehend this matter? First of all, from God's perspective, no matter what a person has been reincarnated from, it is ordained by God. People have no say in it. Say you're one of these people. If you were asked to choose, would you choose to be reincarnated as an animal or as a human?
To be reincarnated as a human.
Why would you choose that?
Because only if we were reincarnated as a human could we have the opportunity to hear what God says and understand His words.
And if you were reincarnated as an animal, this means you would never have the chance to hear God's voice. So, since you know that, as an animal, being reincarnated as a human is a good thing, you should thank God all the more. You shouldn't complain about Him. You should thank God for giving you an opportunity to be a human being, which is, moreover, a once-in-a-millennium opportunity. After all, God became flesh to save people, and while most people haven't gained this grace of salvation, you have. You've had the good fortune of hearing God's voice and hearing God express the truth. This is your blessing. It's something that, as a created life form, you couldn't have obtained even over several lifetimes or many eras, even if you begged for it. God precisely chose you in this age, allowing you to be reincarnated as a human, to live in God's house, and together with humankind, do the duty of a created being, transforming your identity from that of an animal to that of a member of humankind, and allowing you to do a human being's duty. What a great honor and privilege this is. This is something many created life forms could only wish for but never obtain. And yet you have obtained it and are enjoying it today. This opportunity is incredibly rare. For any created life form, it's a once-in-a-millennium opportunity. So, not only should you not sink into despondency and complain, and not feel upset or think that your status is lower than others, but, on the contrary, you should actually feel fortunate. You should thank God. Thank God for the opportunity He has given you. Thank Him for His exaltation of you, for what He has done is so great. What He has done is truly grace and mercy toward created beings. After accepting this grace from God, you should be grateful that He has changed your identity and your class. But you can't just thank Him and be done with it. Beyond thanking Him, you also need to think about how to seize this opportunity. No matter what your original identity was, now that you can do your duty as a human being, this is a good opportunity to change your identity and change your class as a created being. So, how can you make this change? The first key point is to do your duty well. If, due to the various limitations of your innate conditions, you are only capable of toiling and doing physical labor, of doing dirty and tiring work, and based on your identity and worth, the duty you do can only ever remain within this scope, with no possibility of alleviation or improvement, then what should you do? Which principle should you abide by? If, no matter what manifestations we're looking at, whether it's your intelligence, your character, or your innate conditions, your worth among people will always be like this. You will always be a worthless, foolish, muddle-headed, numb, dull-witted person with distorted comprehension, and your worth will never increase. Then how should you treat your duty? This is of utmost importance. Let's suppose that your worth will never increase, and you will never have any dignity among people. In God's eyes, you are eternally fixed in place. This is just what you are. Your class may have obvious characteristics visible on the surface, and you will never change from an animal into a true human. You have no hope of attaining salvation, because you cannot understand the truth, and you do not even possess human intelligence. You don't understand the truths of visions, and in God's house, you don't know how to preach the gospel. You fall short of and don't measure up to any kind of duty involving professional skills. You will always be stuck doing dirty and tiring jobs, and you have no way to turn your situation around. Supposing that's how you are, what would you do? Would you stop believing in God? Would you give up on yourself? Would some people even take their own lives? Would they say, "I don't want to live anymore. I have no way out anyway. What's the point of living like this?" If no matter how much effort you put in, how diligent you are, how much you strive, or how great a price you pay, your worth will never change. And in God's house, you will only ever be someone who toils and works up a sweat, a lowly person without dignity whom everyone looks down on. Then, when it comes to how you treat your duty, God's commission, and the various requirements of the Creator, what way of practicing should you choose? This is what's most crucial. In principle and in theory, your worth and identity are set. But in fact, right now, among people and in God's eyes, your true identity is that of a human. Why do I say it is that of a human? Because the duty you can do, your daily revelations, and the various instinctual abilities of your innate conditions fall within the basic scope of what is normal for a human being. You possess these basic conditions of being a human. Just in terms of this point, how should you treat your duty? Animals don't understand the truth principles. They don't know how to do their duty well, how to hold fast to their duty, or how to do their duty devotedly and persist in rendering service until the end. Animals don't understand these things. But now, as a human, you understand. You know. So you should achieve these things. Since you are capable of achieving these things, God will make requirements of you based on this principle. However, if, because you're unsatisfied with your identity and feel that God is unfair, you become discouraged and complain about Him, feel that your life is humiliating and undignified, and then give up doing your duty, refusing to do even what you are capable of, then you are utterly rebellious. In God's eyes, you are not up to standard as a created being. You are an aberration. So what should you do? Regardless of whether your worth is honorable or lowly, and regardless of what you came from or what problems there are with your innate conditions, in short, whatever you are capable of doing, do your best to do it, and do your best to do it well. If even after doing your best, you still fall short of the truth principles, God has a minimum standard that is required of all kinds of people. As long as you give your all, show your sincerity, and offer your loyalty, you will be up to standard. God doesn't require every person to achieve 100%. 60% is enough. What does God want? What God wants is an attitude. If your attitude is to desire to do the duty of a created being, to do well at the things you should do and should achieve, leaving no regrets, then this attitude is accepted by God. God will approve of this attitude, and it will protect you so that you reach the end of the path. Some people say, "What will happen when I reach the end of the path?" I won't tell you now. I'll tell you later. When you reach the end of the path, you'll know. In short, what matters most right now is how you treat this matter, how you treat the duty God has given you, and how you fulfill the duty God has given you. No matter what this duty is, as long as it is something assigned to you by God's house, you must give your all to do it. When you recognize your own problems, you should do your best to not spout twisted arguments, not do things that offend God, and not say things that offend God. Instead, you should do things that benefit people and God's house, and say things that benefit people and God's house. Some of you say, "I'm still not capable of this right now." Then take your time. Don't be impatient. If you can't do it today, then do it tomorrow. If you can't do it this year, try to do it next year. Just take your time. But if by the time people's outcomes are announced, you still haven't achieved it, then you'll just have to bear the consequences yourself. No one will pick up the check to cover your behavior. Understand? This matter should be easy to resolve. It all depends on a person's rationality and whether they can understand these words. If you can understand them, then these things will be pretty easy to resolve. Even if a few individuals say it's a bit difficult, as long as they strive in this direction, they'll eventually get some results. If you don't walk this path, maybe you'll still be able to survive. But as for what outcome will be waiting for you in the end, that's hard to say. No one can guarantee it, and no one will give you any assurances about it. How do you feel after hearing today's topic? You probably feel quite upset emotionally, don't you? This is one of the topics people are least willing to face since coming to believe in God, isn't it? Isn't it even more distressing and harder to accept than the topic of being a service doer? Is it difficult to accept? You actually are able to accept, right? If people are certain about God's identity and have found their own place, then these words and this kind of issue shouldn't be too difficult for people. Just a few individuals may have some difficulty with them. But most people, after hearing this, are unlikely to go on digging into what their worth and identity really are. Even if they really do match up with some of the manifestations of people reincarnated from animals, they'll be able to treat it correctly, and after a while, they'll feel fine, right? So, we'll fellowship up to here for today. Goodbye.